Scherzer is turning 40 before the trade deadline, and DeGrom hasn't thrown over 100 innings since 2019. However, with so much of the team's 2024 payroll tied up in those three starting pitchers, Bleacher Report's prediction is spot on. Other than maybe an extra arm or two for the bullpen, it seems unlikely Chris Young will pull the trigger on any major moves later this summer. Welcome to the Talkin' Texas Rangers podcast. I'm your host, Larry Lee. In today's episode, we're diving into the latest headlines from around Global Life Field. And before we do that, we'd like to remind you, hit that subscribe button and bell notification button to be notified of future videos. As always, let's dive in to today's first topic. Ranger fans aren't going to like what Bleacher Report's trade deadline prediction for Texas is, but it's one way to approach the trade deadline. The Texas Rangers were quite active during last year's trade deadline. In fact, one could say that the Rangers actually kicked things off with the early season trade for then Kansas City Royals reliever Aroldis Chapman. Will the Rangers take a similar approach in 2024? Bleacher Report doesn't think so. In a recent article titled 8 Early Predictions for the 2024 Trade Deadline, the outlet described how the Rangers may be looking to address the team's shortcomings prior to July 30th. Bleacher Report pegged the Rangers as a team that will do their deadline buying via the IL, citing the number of Texas players currently on the injured list who are eligible to return later this season. That's certainly a strategy, and quite frankly, it's realistic, but may not be wise. Objectively speaking, this wouldn't be the worst approach the Rangers could take, with players like Max Scherzer, Jacob deGrom, Tyler Mahle, Josh Young, all on the IL. There's definitely some high-profile names on their way back for the second half of the season. But it's a rather bold strategy to stake the future of your starting rotation on two players returning from Tommy John surgery and another who's currently dealing with a nerve issue. Josh is a rather safe bet, but the trio of Scherzer, deGrom, and Mahle are anything but. Scherzer is turning 40 before the trade deadline, and deGrom hasn't thrown over 100 innings since 2019. However, with so much of the team's 2024 payroll tied up in those three starting pitchers, Bleacher Report's prediction is spot on. Other than maybe an extra arm or two for the bullpen, it seems unlikely Chris Young will pull the trigger on any major moves later this summer. A lot can change between now and July 30th, but it's quite likely that the Texas Rangers front office will pin its hopes on the return. A lot can change between now and July 30th, but it's quite likely that the Texas front office will pin its hope on the return of Scherzer, deGrom, and Mahle. And let's hope that decision pays off. And now on to our next topic. The Rangers could capitalize by looking at under-the-radar White Sox trade target. Maybe there's another White Sox pitcher the Rangers should inquire about. The Chicago White Sox are poised to be sellers at this year's trade deadline. Outfielder Luis Robert Jr. and starting pitcher Garrett Crochet are known to be on the trade block for any team willing to meet what's sure to be an unbelievably high asking price. Robert, who, when healthy, is an MVP caliber player who occupies a premier spot defensively. Garrett, much like former White Sox pitcher Dylan Cease, is a frontline starter with multiple years of team control remaining. Texas Rangers fans remember that Arlington was a possible landing spot for Cease before the San Diego Padres stepped up and matched Chicago's demands. If the Rangers are still looking to bolster their rotation ahead of the July 30th deadline, Chris Young may want to give Chris Getz of the White Sox a phone call, but not for the player you think. While making a deal for Greg would bring a top end to the Rangers. Garrett would bring a top end starter to the Rangers rotation. Snagging the left-hander would cost an arm and a leg. But Eric Fetty could be had for much less and perhaps give Texas exactly what they need. Fed signed a 2-year, $15 million contract with the White Sox this past offseason after spending the previous season overseas pitching for the KBO. He went 20-6 for the NL Dinos with a 2.0 ERA and 209 strikeouts in just over 180 innings. While the level of competition in the KBO is not the same as what he has faced so far this season in the major leagues, Fed remade himself into a much better pitcher while playing in Korea. Before his trip across the Pacific, Fed spent 6 seasons with the Washington Nationals. The right-hander went 21-33 with a 5.41 ERA. In his 13 stats for the White Sox this season, he owns a 3.27 ERA and a 3.54 FIP. And he reduced his walk rate from his previous stint in the majors while seeing an uptick in strikeouts. With a contract that extends into 2025, he's more than just a rental. However, the White Sox won't command near the type of prospect package for him that they'll get in exchange for Garrett. While the Rangers are banking on the returns of John Gray, Cody Bradford, Max Scherzer, DeGrom, Mall from the IL, in order to boost Texas's rotation for playoff push, that's hardly a sound strategy. Both DeGrom and Mall are returning from Tommy John surgery, and Scherzer has already had a setback this season. Teams like the Rangers, who are looking to upgrade the rotation without taking on a bunch of payroll, will certainly be keeping an eye on Fed as the MLB trade deadline approaches. And now, as we move on to our next topic, there's a overlooked minor league pitcher that us Texas Ranger fans should keep an eye on. We are close to halfway through the minor league baseball schedule this season. The Rangers have some prospects performing better than expected. One of those prospects having an outstanding season is Dane Acker. He was one of the names in the Elvis Andrus trade a couple of seasons ago. At 25, he's starting to show that he has the potential to be an ace for the Rangers in a few years. Let's take a look at how he's doing in his first season with the Frisco Rough Riders. Acker has been one of the consistent starters for the Rough Riders this season. The 27th ranked prospect in the Rangers minor league system started this season strong by striking out 7 batters in 4.2 innings. He had a .68 ERA through his first 3 starts this year. He's consistently overpowered hitters over the last few months, which the Rangers have been impressed with. He could find a spot on the Rangers roster as a starter or a long relief pitcher not too long from now. The one thing that the Rangers are concerned with is the fact he's undergone multiple Tommy John surgery. Acker has an impressive arsenal of pitches, but he has had trouble since the surgery utilizing all of them to the best of his ability. His 3 main offerings are his 2-seamer fastball, curveball, and changeup. He's done an outstanding job this season by mixing them up and keeping batters guessing what's coming next. Fans have wondered why Acker hasn't ended up in AAA with how he's been pitching this season. The reason is because there's no room for him right now in Round Rock. Another reason why he hasn't been promoted is because the Raiders probably want him to have an entire season in AA before promoting him to the next level, especially with all that he's been through. By the end of the season, he should climb up the Rangers prospect list. When he gets those pitches under control and remastered, Acker will be a lethal arm for the Rangers. It might take a couple more seasons for it to happen, but it's worth the wait. He's doing well with the Rough Riders for now. And if you live in the North Texas area, go check out his next start in Frisco and watch him strike out the competition 1 batter at a time. And now on to our next topic. Before we dive into this topic, don't forget to hit our subscribe button and give us a thumbs up if you like our video. And there's a video that was released of Corey Seager's injury, and it should gravely concern us Ranger fans. The Texas superstar was forced to leave their matchup against the Tigers early with an injury. Fans have to be thinking that the Texas Rangers made some sort of pact with a dark entity to win the World Series last year, given all the injuries they've had to deal with in 2024. However, things have finally started to look up as both Max Scherzer and John Gray are making progress in their rehabs, and it might actually be possible that by the end of the summer, the Rangers roster could resemble the one that they hoped to start the season with. But in a small wrinkle in those aspirations, popped up on Wednesday. In the second inning of the Rangers' win over the Tigers, Corey Seager pulled up and grabbed his hamstring after hitting a single and was pulled from the game early with what was described as hamstring tightness. Why can't the Rangers have nice things this year? After the game, both Seager and Rangers manager Bruce Bochy downplayed the severity of Seager's injury. Seager declared that he was fine and that he just felt a little twinge, and Bochy said that Texas was just being cautious with their superstar ahead of an off day, and that there weren't any plans as of this moment for Seager to get an MRI or be placed on the IL. However, fans should still keep a close eye on this situation. Not only has Seager been gassed over the last month and is an MVP level talent, but he's also missed a lot of time last year with a hamstring injury in the same leg. Given Seager's injury history the last few years, as well as the curse that has apparently been placed on the Rangers in 2024, one cannot assume that everything will be just fine. Fortunately, the offense didn't need much from Seager, as they got a great start from Jose Urena, as well as big games on the plate from Josh Smith and Jonah Heim. However, we can all probably agree that Texas really needs this injury news to go this way just this one time. And now on to our next topic. Evan Carter's back injury is significantly worse than what many initially thought. It feels like the Texas Rangers get some sort of bad injury news every single day this season. Obviously, that's an exaggeration, but not as much as you would think, as Texas has had so many injuries and rehab setbacks that it is a wonder that they've been able to field a competitive team at all. In the case of Evan Carter, he's just one of the latest Rangers to get bitten by the injury bug. Carter was placed on the injury list at the end of May with what was described as a lower back injury. Given that he had been struggling so much, many thought it was a minor issue that allowed the Rangers to give him a bit of breather while reinstating Wyatt Langford from the IL. However, Carter's injury appears to be much worse than that. Before Tuesday's game against the Tigers, manager Bruce Bochy revealed Carter is dealing with a stress reaction in his lower back, and the team is expecting Carter to be out for at least a month, if not more than that. Given how good Carter was after the Rangers called him up last year and how high the expectations were of him coming into 2024, this is upsetting. While Carter had been struggling with a 188 batting average and a 633 OPS this season, a big part of Texas' formula that turns their season around involved Carter figuring things out, and this injury is obviously a huge setback to those plans. Fortunately, the Rangers did at least sprinkle in some good injury news along with the update on Carter. Bochy shared that Scherzer, Gray, and Tyler Roll are all progressing through their respective rehabs and are all throwing to varying degrees. While we don't have exact timetables for the returns, things are at least looking up for the pitching staff when it comes to injuries. It also doesn't hurt that the Rangers do have some depth in the outfield at the moment, especially now that Langford is back. However, everyone probably agrees that a healthy and productive Carter is still the best option for the team. So hopefully his recovery goes well, even if it's going to take longer than initially thought. And now for some more fun. To wrap up our show, we're going to play the game Try Not to Say What I Say. So I ask you 5 questions, and you try not to say the same thing as me. If you do, you lose. So, right off the bat, name a pitcher. It could be any past or present Rangers pitcher. Give you a second or two to think of one. If you said Aroldis Chapman, you're out. Now, name a concession item. Doesn't have to be specific, but any concession item, any food you can find in the stadium. If you said ice cream in a helmet, you're out. Now, name a Rangers Hall of Famer. If you said Pudge Rodriguez, you're out. Name an AL West team. Any AL West team. Could be anybody. Careful, because I might say who you're thinking. If you said Houston Astros, you're out. Now, finally, name a number 1 from 1 to 10. If you said 3, you're out. As always, if you like our content, give us a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button, bell notification button to be notified of future videos. And of course, if you want to help us grow and create even more content, buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/TTRangers. As always, your support goes directly into this channel and helps us grow it, bring in new hosts, be able to pay them, and take the show on the road. As always, thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll catch you next time.